everyone, and welcome to Zalora Talks, the podcast where Asia's online fashion, beauty, and lifestyle destination comes alive. This is your host, Yasmine, and I hope everyone's doing really well and keeping it safe out there wherever it is you're tuning in from.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but seeing as how it's been a little more than a year since we first went into lockdown, I've been having to deal with some MCO weight gain. Actually, who am I kidding? Not some, a lot. I mean, just a few days ago, I was going through my phone and I came across a picture I took of myself in December 2019 when I was probably about 10 kilos lighter. And this time last year, on top of having to deal with being in lockdown, I also had to spend a lot of time rehabilitating my knee. Some background information here, and you guys are probably gonna laugh at me for telling you this story. I basically messed up my knee while I was in Paris during Fashion Week last year. I cannot make this up, but as I was scheduled to do a private interview with the shoe designer Christian Louboutin, I tripped over a carpet and eventually sent things flying up in the air, like coffee, croissant, actually even like spilled coffee down my top, tore my jeans, and eventually had to deal with a doctor coming into my room and give me like a painkiller shot, and also had to forego my interview with the designer. But can you imagine the sheer irony of it? Just going into an interview with a shoe designer only to get injured wearing 5-inch stiletto heels. Oh my God, what an experience. Oh God, I'm so stupid. But I digress. Point is, since my injury, I've hardly been able to get back to my previous fitness levels and could hardly do all the things I used to do, like box jumps, burpees, squats. In fact, I couldn't even bend my knee for months, and I'm still trying to rehabilitate it. So I'm not gonna lie to you. It's played a huge mental game on me. Just 2 weeks ago, I fell on the treadmill because my knee gave way, and I ended up getting dragged on the treadmill, leaving me with bruises and a gash, yet again. And then I ugly cried and ugly worked out because, being a typical Leo, I just refused to lose face at the gym. Anyways, my trainer and everyone else in the studio were like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And then there's me going like, "Yes, I'm okay." Just like sobbing through sweat and tears, like the hot mess that I was. Anyways, it was then when I actually realized how spiritual and mental wellness often interacts with fitness. And so it is with this in mind that today's podcast honors these two overlapping elements. I'm actually very excited about this episode, especially since we have 4 amazing people championing wellness through their minds, bodies, and souls.
3 out of 4 of them I've actually had experience training with. So it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you our panelists for today. Malaysian television personality, and I mean that because I grew up watching her on TV, turned holistic expert with more than 20 years of experience under her belt, Jojo Struys. CrossFit trainer, free rider, and model, Erin Chan. Functional fitness expert and co-founder of the Academy 56 Malaysia, Marc. And repping Singapore is former national diver, Kimberly Chan, who, might I add, used to compete in the big leagues such as SEA Games and Myanmar Games. Talk about a star-studded lineup, guys. How's everyone doing? And thanks so much for coming on air with us at Zalora Talks.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm thrilled to be here. Namaste to everyone.
Namaste, Jojo.
Namaste.
Now, just to get everyone's ball rolling, how did everyone get into fitness? Let's start off with Erin.
Growing up, I was always more athletic, trying to skip school hours, trying to get into every damn sport in school. Yeah, I used to play handball for state, got into a little bit of field hockey, and alongside all of that was always mountain biking and cycling. So fitness has always been a part of my life, even from high school.
Go into Marc. Got a shout out to our Aussie boy here.
Don't say that out too loud because I'm a Kiwi at heart.
Kiwi, oh yeah. Forgot about that.
I'm a Kiwi at heart.
Kiwi at heart.
Well, similar to Erin, it all started from a very young age. I was always pretty active at school, and I actually got into big trouble with my parents because I wanted to spend more time playing and I'd never eat my lunch. I also didn't want to waste food. So I'd take the food home and I'd hide it under my bed and then the food got rotten, and then I got a big hiding from my parents. So I'm not too sure the moral of that story, but I just really enjoyed playing and just being active. So started from a very young age. I grew into rugby as a profession, and I've done that for 10 years. Kind of fell into that. And from there, I've also taken a big stance on health and fitness, wellness, and also a holistic approach to working out.
Yeah. And Kimberly, you're a former national diver. How did you get into all of that?
Actually, I started when I was really young. It wasn't like a planned thing. I'm really small in size. So actually, my mom's friend encouraged her to put me in gymnastics because I was very light. And I actually fell down when someone ran past me. He was like, I think you should put her in gym, build some muscle. So I started from there, and it helped that I was small for a gymnast. And then I transitioned to diving in 2010 when there was the SEA Games. Youth Olympic Games, actually. And it was being held in Singapore. So they were looking for ex-gymnasts to bring the sport back. So that's how I got into diving. But my whole family has been pretty sporty since young. So she threw me in gym. She threw both my siblings in gym. And my brother and I stopped to diving. My sister was in gymnastics until last year.
Yeah. Jojo, you've got like 20 years of experience under your belt. How did that go from television personality into holistic wellness?
Well, I feel that I've always been fascinated by the power of the mind, and, sport for me and being active was there from the beginning. I was a tomboy. I used to skateboard around my neighborhood, and I then did ballet. And, it's this paradox because I was a tomboy, but I was doing ballet, and ballet made the body really strong. And then I ended up being a part of the running team when I was in school, and I got the national gold medal in Singapore for 3,000 meters. So I was like an athlete. I was training. I was really active. And I later, picked up yoga. And one day, after being an entrepreneur and running my own production house, the stress levels were insane. I had 40 people under my belt. And I told, my husband, I said, that's it, I need some time out. So I checked myself into an ashram for yoga in the foothills of the Himalayas and got accredited. Never thought I would open my own space. I just really went there for expansion and knowledge because breathwork was always with me and an amazing mindfulness tool. But came back to Malaysia and eventually opened my own space, a healing space called Ohana Jo.
That's actually quite insane that you went to an ashram and spent, how long were you there actually?
I was in Rishikesh, an amazing rustic town, which is completely vegetarian. And I was there for 45 days. But the course was 30 intense days. And my gosh, my body suffered because you're literally up at 5 a.m. Your day finishes at 8 p.m. and it's full on. Yeah.
It's funny because how you say when you talk about wellness and how a lot of that goes into mental health as well. Like your brain or the way that your mind works. There's so much that goes into play in that sense, and especially now that we're kind of coming out of lockdown or not really. It's kind of like a gray area at this point. But how do you think wellness and fitness has changed today, especially now that we're kind of going through a pandemic?
I think it's become even more relevant because more and more these days, we've been seeing people on ground from all walks of life. I would have a mother come into Ohana Jo saying she can't breathe properly. She's got anxiety, but so does her daughter, who's only 19 years old. Mm-hmm. And I think that when people are in fear of the future, this whole feeling of, I don't know, I can't plan, it really puts us into this space of, well, when you can't control something, you have to learn how to let go, and it's easier said than done. And this is where I feel that the breath anchors us in the present moment. Because if you live in the present moment, then at least you're not constantly focused on tomorrow, which we can't control, and we don't know, what tomorrow will bring. So I feel that anxiety has sort of been up on the rise, and we've had MNC companies like approaching us saying, can you come and do a talk? And, I just did one for HSBC and just showed up on Zoom, and it was voluntary. They said they've never seen so many people show up. There was almost 300 people wanting to learn breathing techniques to let go of their stress. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And I think it's because of these times, these uncertain times that we're living in. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also it's a very fundamental thing, whenever like I do workouts, my trainers will always be like, don't forget to breathe. Like breathe in, breathe out. And I know Aaron and Marc can also, for you, Kimberly, when you're working out, breathing is like one of the most important things, but it's probably just slightly different from what Jojo was also saying, right?
Doing anything really, whether it comes to sport, fitness, wellness, whatever, so on and so forth. Like breath is the core, like it basically boils down to how you control your breath, you know, being able to breathe through different kinds of situations. Like in Jojo's scenario, it would be more meditation. And I guess like when it comes to fitness, when it comes to a little bit more physical activity, it's being able to breathe through stressful physical moments, you know. It teaches you different ways to breathe and how to use your body.
Marc, anything to add?
No, I mean, I agree that breathing is a huge part of any type of sport, but also meditation point of view. I think as an athlete, we try to breathe more efficiently. That's probably the biggest part as an athlete, that we want to control our breathing so that we don't get so tired, because if we slow our breath, then our heart will follow. I definitely understand where both parties are coming from.
Yeah, because you also try to build the lines between like holistic wellness and physical wellness as well, right? So how does that play out for you?
I found that I'm trying to breathe in through my nose and also out of my nose at the same time. I was doing some breath work with Kimberly Chan as well. I've always been a mouth breather, breathing in and out through my mouth a lot. That was just comfortable for me. Being introduced to breath work, it was something new to me, and I found that when I used it within my training, I managed to train a little bit more efficiently. So that in turn made my stress levels lower during whatever training I was doing.
Actually, it's interesting that you say that, Marc, because there's a girl who was training for Mount Everest base camp, and she was going to the gym, and that was excellent for her to work out her body. And she was coming from my breathwork class, and she really felt a difference. There is a particular breathing technique which sounds like Darth Vader, and it makes you constrict the epiglottis muscle of your throat, which causes that sound. And it's so oxygenating and strengthening that when she was practicing this, she was feeling like she could run longer. And apparently Olympic athletes who do know about it have used it to increase their lung capacity. So it's called Ujjayi, the Ujjayi breath. And it's just so fascinating. And, you know, when people ask me, you know, what is meditation? And I say that, you know, meditation is actually anything that gets you into the present moment. It could be dance, you know, it could be jogging, it could be washing the dishes, or if you find cooking meditative, that could be your meditation or prayer. So it's, anything that makes you feel present. Yeah.
Jojo, care to give us a bit of a demonstration of the Darth Vader?
Okay. If you wanted to learn it, you could place your hand in front of your mouth and make the sound of ha, as if you are trying to fog up a windshield mirror, like a mirror. So if you could all just do this, just go and feel the breath on your hand. When you do this, now do the same thing, but have your mouth closed, and it would automatically make a sound like this. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're basically going to be blowing as if you're going ha, right, onto your hand, but your mouth is actually closed, which will automatically constrict that muscle in your throat, which will create that sound. So try that, everyone. It's all within your throat. Can you feel that, the passage of air? And this is, by the way, it's also called the ocean's breath. So if you cupped your hands around your ears, you would actually hear yourself breathe, which is also very meditative, and it sounds like ocean waves. That's one of the breathing techniques, which is amazing for public speakers as well. There's a whole load of benefits on this one. Yeah.
That's amazing. I might actually go and do that. If you're at home listening to this, give it a try, seriously. Now, going back to the state of wellness and fitness, do you guys see any changes in trends, especially with the lockdown in mind?
I don't know about anyone else, like wherever you guys are located, but in Singapore, everyone started exercising during the lockdown. I've never seen the parks so crowded. Yeah, there had to be a lot of restrictions after that. But I think everyone started deciding to go out and exercise because of the need for fresh air. I didn't know how important that was until I started breaking out at home.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's how I realized that getting fresh air and sun is important. I'm a sun person. Like I will go tanning every weekend, like at my swimming pool, that kind of thing. But because of the lockdown, I just stayed at home. The pools were all closed. So I resorted to tanning on my balcony and my skin got better. So yeah, I think everyone realizes the importance of going out as well. But just like, not too often because...
What about you guys, Aaron and Marc?
I mean, of course, like during the whole lockdown over here, everybody's like posting up on IG all sorts of home workouts they're doing. Like I think it's great. Everybody's got a whole lot of time on their hands now. You don't have to go through the jam, don't have to go through all sorts of traffic and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So of course, with more time, everybody starts self-reflecting. Oh, wait a minute, I should start paying attention to my health.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of home workouts, and I think it's great. It's just that now I think the shift needs to happen to people taking their fitness a little bit more serious, like taking it further, Like, yes, I started something with the home workouts at home. Why not? I start setting goals, like running 5 km, running 10 km, trying to get a better, physique, so on and so forth,
Yeah. Actually, I think running is like one of the biggest trends too. I mean, I wouldn't really say it a trend, but I think a lot of people got into it a lot more, especially when the restrictions started to ease up a little bit. People just wanted to be outdoors. And, I know you probably get this because, Aaron, you join a running club, Godspeed in KL.
Yeah, so I mean, we started Godspeed right after the first lockdown in 2020. I kind of just started off with just a bunch of our friends just getting together and you know what, like let's try something new. One of the co-founders, his dad was a coach for the Penang state team, and he used to run for Penang. So he had all sorts of resources, and like me, for instance, spending time at Fuel, we had all the resources in terms of training. So we're like, you know what, we have all this network, these resources to like really come up with something great.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nakib was like great at taking pictures. Next thing you know, we're on Instagram and like people keep showing up for runs. I guess like my running picked up so quickly because it was the easiest thing to pick up.
Absolutely.
Put on your pair of shoes and go out and run.
I totally get that. I mean, I not so much of a runner because I run crisscross, which is kind of odd. I could never run.
So you are drills.
No, I don't want you to kill me again, Aaron. Please don't. But yeah, actually, Aaron did tell me last time I cannot run. So if there's a zombie apocalypse, I'm probably one of the first to go. I guess it also starts with like motivation. Like how do you get the motivation to go and do these things? Because I live on my own, and trying to get myself out of bed and then go onto the yoga mat and do something or just move. I mean, at this point, from the bed to the kitchen is already an achievement for me. But if I get to the gym, that's like an added bonus. But if the gym's not there, I've only got a yoga mat. And the chances of me procrastinating working out is like, it's hilarious. Marc, don't laugh. I know you've got something to say.
Oh, no. I'm just thinking about how, like, due to the lockdown, I think it opened a lot of people's eyes into what they could actually do.
Yeah. Well, you were in quarantine, right? When you went to, There we go. Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. You can work out at home, because I had a lot of clients that they didn't want to do it at first. And then they started and then they liked it. And then they actually realized, actually, it's more time efficient sometimes. And then people started running outside, like you said, and people enjoyed running outside. Previously, it would be that they want to be in an aircon room because it's too hot outside, whereas now you don't have that option and they can actually enjoy it as well. Well, you're talking about motivation. There's motivation and discipline, right? And I think one of the biggest things about motivation is that if you can find yourself, one, a training partner, or two, a community which you enjoy being part of, they can hold you accountable to whatever actions it may be, like at Godspeed and at Fuel Athletics. They've got a great community there. And so therefore, when you go there, you're not just getting a workout. You're not just getting a sweat. You feel like you're part of a family. You feel like you're part of a really close knit of people that do more than just working out, that go out and they'll eat together and they'll go to each other's birthdays and other dinners and other events, So it's important to find that. And when you find that, I think it just naturally flows on from there.
Yeah.
But how would you advise someone who hasn't got that community?
So people that don't have that community, it's really, really hard, especially like I work with a lot of overweight clients, and trying to build their confidence up is probably the first thing for me. Instilling some self-belief in them, I think, is so important, that they feel like they can achieve something. And yeah, once again, if you don't have that community, I think as well you have to be willing to make a change. If you think that's what you need in your life, you have to be willing to make a change, because if you don't think there's a problem and you don't want to address it, then you're just going to continue on your merry way, and be probably relatively happy or upset about it. So the willingness to put yourself out there.
I think just to add on to Marc, it doesn't always have to be doing a crazy distance of a run to start building confidence. It could just be, like you said, just getting to the mat, day one. Okay. Day two, maybe I'll just try 5 push-ups, Fitness for me has always been a progression, and it's ever evolving. You don't always have to do the same thing every day. You're just going to get bored and you're going to burn out. As long as you have a solid support crew that keeps it fun, there are all sorts of forms of fitness out there. Yeah, you just got to reach out. Everybody's more than happy to help out, especially in the current fitness scene in Malaysia. And all sorts of friends. Myself, Marc. I'm pretty sure there's so many other crews in KL more than happy to help.
Yeah. And I think something to add on what Marc said as well about, intentions. And I think intention is the word itself holds so much power. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like as if the word intention or setting intentions is one of the biggest keyword or buzzwords for this year, setting manifesting. And that's a lot of my friends say that. And I've always been kind of confused towards, the term, but it's just kind of putting a goal out there and then trying to reach it, even if it's just small or something. You just say it and then it somehow gets ingrained in your head mentally.
There's some research to say that your heart is 5,000 times magnetically stronger than the brain. So when you set an intention, if you're able to engage with your heart and to come from the heart, it's so much more powerful than if it's only just head driven. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like when Tony Robbins spoke about, there are things in life that push you, and willpower is, as we know, it's like a muscle. It can get depleted and drained, but there are things that pull you. And when things excite you and make you feel alive and inspired, it's a natural flow. So it doesn't feel like a push. It feels like you do it anyway. You are motivated. And I think when you set an intention, if you're able to sort of really connect with your heart, it's easier to manifest it, because there could be genuine feeling of excitement or joy, or even the vibration of love. Love has a frequency. They've measured it on emotions. And do you know that gratitude actually ranks even higher than love? So if you come from gratitude, if you're a grateful person, you're not complaining in your life, which is very negative. If you are grateful, gratitude is a higher vibration than love. And the only thing that tops both of that is unconditional love. Unconditional love is higher than both. So it's, something for you to just think about when you're setting an intention. Do you believe you deserve it? Do you have doubt? All this will get in the way of setting that intention. And then you get to a point of, I feel, I believe, and then it becomes, I know I can bring this in.
That's a really good sentiment. That's really great, actually. Speaking of vibrations, I've always been enthralled by the idea of crystal healing. Now, talk us through about crystal healing, and especially for those who don't really know about it as much as you do, Jojo.
Well, we call it sound healing. They're using crystal bowls, gongs, various instruments, even the power of your own voice. And sound healing is really interesting because it can actually trigger off theta brainwave states. And that's when people get into really deep spaces of relaxation. And when you set an intention in that state, you're actually even closer to manifesting it because you're so relaxed. So you're not in the spin of beta consciousness. So the brainwaves actually slow down and get entrained to the sound of the crystal bowls. And this is why some people who suffer from insomnia, like the drone of the bowls, there's a lot of science behind sound, can actually send people into very deep spaces because you're in sort of an altered state of consciousness, And this is where it brings the body, because your heart rate slows down, blood pressure, you come into this optimal state for your body to do what it knows how to do, which is self-healing. It's just that when we're really stressed and tight, it's very hard for the body to replenish and to recover. So it's amazing when people come in and really let go. And sound vibrations, by the way, they travel more than 4 times faster through water than the air. So what this means is the human body is predominantly water. So sound travels right through us, and sound needs a medium in order to travel. And another great medium is actually bone. And we have more than 200 bones in the human body. So with you lying there doing nothing, you are an amazing conductor of sound. So we have seen people really journey with sound healing, like amazing stuff. A guy came in with like a football injury on his hip, and he couldn't believe how in one session, his hip, felt so much better. And you could have a person with a bad back and they come 100 times and they have no improvement in their back because they're not ready to let go of what they're carrying on their back. It could be a burden. It could be an emotional stress. They're not ready to release. The bad back remains. But we've seen some people shift in a single session because the vibrations of sound can help to take pressure off the nerves in your spinal column. So then suddenly chi moves again and circulation flows. And it's amazing how the body feels even physically after a sound bath.
Marc, you look like you have something to say.
No, I just, I don't know much about crystals. And so I'm really enjoying learning about it from Jojo. And also I'm learning a lot from Jojo, actually. I enjoyed your definition of meditation. I think that's a great way to, to be present. I'll probably use that, to be honest. But I really enjoy it.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, because I think when a lot of people think meditation, I'm going to sit in a room by myself and just be quiet and close my eyes. And, that's what people think about when you say meditation. I'm really, really enjoying your input, Jojo.
Thank you so much. And the reason why I thought it was important to define it is because I recently did a talk for Petronas students, and some of them asked, what do we tell our parents because of, cultural or religious sensitivities that we want to learn how to meditate? And I said, well, depends on your definition of what's meditation, because really, if you are dancing and you are in that state of flow, that's definitely a form of meditation. In fact, when a mother rocks the baby, the rhythm of the breath, just like, why is it we don't just ask the baby to sleep? Why do we rock the baby? That's why a lot of people fall asleep on coaches and trains. It's like this rhythm, this rhythmic cycle just helps people to knock out. And so in the same way, anything that, follows that type of a rhythm and pace, when you guys are working out, y'all have music, you have movements and intense workouts. Honestly, it's a form of meditation for some. And some people who are doing it and their minds are all over the place, they're just moving their bodies. But if they engage the mind and even are completely present when they're working out, it takes their workout even to a whole other level. So intense workout can be your meditation for sure.
Yeah, I think I can definitely agree because I went for boxing today, and usually, it's one of the reasons why I love to go boxing is because I put my entire thought and focus onto that punching bag, and it for me it's a form of meditation.
Stress release.
Yeah, stress release, definitely that. And I think you put it very adequately, very aptly, actually, how you've portrayed what meditation is like, because a lot of people probably perceive that meditation is just someone sitting in a quiet room and they're just folding their legs and going but it really isn't. The reality is that it comes in so many different ways and different forms.
Correct. Because that's why it depends on definition of what is meditation, because when you look it up in the dictionary, it might say things like to clear out mental clutter, but there's so many ways that you could do that. I feel that the breath is one of the most effective ways to anchor yourself in the present moment, because our thoughts are constantly tracking into the past. We're living in yesterday, and they call that worry. And, or we're living in the future, they call that anxiety. And so when you're here in the now, this is where your true creative power lies. And one of the ways to do that is the breath. But there's so many things that engage the breath. Of course, you could be on the treadmill and, you're focused on your breath. If that works for you, do that. Yeah. And even in breathing techniques, there are breathing techniques that can make you sweat, that can actually be releasing, like cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are those that are totally like still, so yeah. And I know people who pray, but they're just words coming out of their mouth. They're not that present. They feel that they're just getting it out of the way. So then in that sense, prayer wouldn't be a meditation. But for those who pray with like full presence, their minds are starting to be cleared, then prayer for them is their meditation.
Yeah, sometimes that's like me rapping to a Cardi B song. I'm just like saying the words, saying the lyrics, but I don't even know what I'm trying to say. How does everyone think fitness and wellness, mind, body, and soul can work hand in hand all together?
Jojo mentioned something earlier about that flow state. I mean, even in mountain biking, for instance, we talk about this flow state where you're on your bike and you like everything falls into place, and like you manage to like get through this trail and like be able to be in the zone where you're not tired. You feel like you can push a little bit harder. Like everything just falls into place. For me, it's always like trying to chase that feeling in everything I do, whether it comes to working out, running, work, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's chasing that flow state.
For me, it's about balance. So as I was saying, like when I work, it's going to be stressful and it's something that I can't really escape. So exercise is my outlet to relieve stress. I found out that it actually helps me to feel better. Like usually when I have a bad day at work, I go for class with a headache and I'm like, is it a good idea to exercise when I'm feeling stressed and having this like pounding feeling in my head? But I usually leave class feeling happy, my headache is gone and I'm ready for dinner. So I think that exercise makes me happy. So that's why I do it.
It's actually really nice for me to see sometimes personal trainers or, teachers coming through the door. And it's because there's a lot of high activity out there. And I felt that, maybe Ohanajo could just fill this need gap of people needing to slow down, because we all do need to slow down in order to speed up, I feel. At some point, that's how we strike that balance, especially if we've been rushing or it's all go, go, go. Jack Ma spoke about this. He said sometimes slow means fast. And that's why even in business, he really resonates with Tai Chi principles.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that relaxation is something which almost interrupts that constant crazy pace that we could be living at, So it's just reminding ourselves, like, just to slow down, to ground our energy, to regroup. I'm just happy that, I can provide that to people who feel that they need tender loving care or just curl up with a blanket and receive sound healing, And it's so important that you've got studios out there doing the intense stuff for people who resonate with that. And it doesn't stop someone from doing both, because what we do is kind of on the other end, We have yoga classes too. You could break a sweat, but it's not really our emphasis. I feel that we're more interested in how you feel rather than how you look. Mm-hmm. And I feel that if you are feeling good about yourself, motivation will naturally flow, and it'll be easier for you to want to get onto the mat or to go to a gym and to do more things. You kind of have to sort yourself out first and how you're feeling about you,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess during the span of a lockdown, I spent a lot of months just kind of having this internal realization about myself and having to come to terms with a lot of these things. Of course, I went to Ohanajo as well at some point. At the end of the day, it's a lot of things I had to face myself internally, and it's helped me a lot along the way. Has the pandemic also affected you guys? More or less the same situation? How has it changed your lifestyles?
During the lockdown, I actually burnt out because I was at home by myself. I was doing 2 trainings a day. I was very motivated to start my own business. So I was online, I was working, I was only getting 4 hours sleep. And in hindsight, like my way of thinking then was like, I'm just going to be at home. It's not that strenuous, right?
Yeah.
I already know sleep is so important.
Yeah.
But then I've also got, sleep aids recovery, sleep aids muscle growth, weight loss. But the other side of me, which is the work ethic, and I just want to go, right? So I burnt out. I was actually sick for about a week and a half. stayed in bed for about 14 hours on the dot every day. I was just burnt. So I can relate to what Jojo was saying about, needing to slow down to speed up. It's about finding that balance as well. I didn't have that balance, and I took a big learning curve from it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how one of the learnings I got from being on lockdown.
Yeah, and especially the fact that you had to go to quarantine when you got into Melbourne as well. There was like 2 weeks of quarantine, and I remember going through your Instagram stories and like, what did I eat today? What was my workout of the day? And it was just you in that one room. I would have gone crazy.
The part I was just talking about, that was actually MCO lockdown in Malaysia. When I was in quarantine, I enjoyed that. I was really, really happy to slow down. Just leading into it, before leaving Malaysia, I was busy because I was catching up with friends. I was still doing my normal day-to-day works. And so when I was in lockdown, I just shut everything off.
Yeah.
I was relaxed. I felt on top of the world. After my 2 weeks, I rang them up and was like, can I do another week if that's all right? But no, yeah. So, I'm quite happy to be by myself and enjoy that space as well.
Yeah. I mean, I guess as well, you don't really get to see the side of, especially trainers or practitioners, when they slow down, because you train us, you impart all this wisdom upon us, but then to see you guys slow down, it's a completely different story, because we don't see that side of you guys, especially when you guys burn out. Aaron as well, when you train, it's really just like PT. And before this, you're telling me how you were having like back-to-back sessions, and how do you even like kind of slow down, or how do you come out of the lockdown and then try to impart what you learn into what it is now, into your everyday life now?
I did set out quite a few personal goals to hit in 2021. So it's just, that's been sort of keeping me on track with my timeline. Certain goals for me. I've been training with the rest of the coaches, so we're all on more or less the same schedule. So support crew, very important.
Yeah.
Just small goals, and like making sure you achieve that small goals, because then every time you hit that small goal, you feel rewarded, you want to do more. Yeah, I think like maybe for our members, for instance, like during the lockdown, it got a bit heavy on the coaches because we had to do virtual classes every day.
Yeah.
And we made it a point to have internal chats within the coaches just to support each other. Like just check up on you, make sure everybody's like mentally right.
Yeah, vibe checks every day.
And of course, like everybody was sending each other gifts, little notes here and there, that kind of stuff. That's why like support crew is super important.
Yeah. Okay, just to like wrap things up, if you guys were to kind of outline 3 words that would kind of be the fundamental, essence of your way of teaching, or, as a trainer, what are the 3 things that you always stand by?
So for me, it would be moderation, being consistent, like finding a momentum, and getting rest. Like what I said, like moderation, because, you need to find some balance. Momentum for me, I found it actually during lockdown. So I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I enjoyed being in lockdown because I could exercise more regularly. Like I didn't have to travel to the gym, and I could just shut my laptop and pick up my yoga mat and do my workout like straight away. So I think I was the fittest I have ever been in a long time during lockdown. So it was hard to try to find that balance and momentum when I started going back to, to the office, and then after that, going for workouts after that. And then rest is also important to me because, I get injured on the most weird things. Like I can get injured stretching. Rest is quite important to me. I need like...
Okay, I feel you. I fell on the treadmill. That was really embarrassing for me. It's like 10 other people in the classroom were just like...
Did it make a good noise though?
No, not that kind of noise. But they were like, oh my God, are you okay?
Mine was after my workout. So I would already finish my workout. I was stretching and then my knee popped.
Oh no.
So I was out of it for like 2 weeks. I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
I think, you're talking about health, wellness, fitness. I'm going to steal 2 people's ideas here, which is, I think it's really important to find your flow state. And when you find it, it's going to come from the heart. And so therefore, you're going to be intrinsically motivated to want to fulfill your flow state, because that's when you get all those endorphins going when you fulfill it. It can be anything. You see, like people think, oh, fitness means you got to work out. Nah. Like you can find your flow state by enjoying time with your kids. You know, you take your kids out to the park, you play with them for an hour, you feel happy inside, you've got your steps up. That could be what your meditation is. So I think it's important that people find so it comes down to individualism, that they've got to find what motivates them. There's so much on social media that it's like, oh, if I don't look like her, then no one's going to like me, you know? So they go for that idea, which is someone else's idea.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We could talk all day about this, but that's just my...
We'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, 100%.
Aaron?
For me, it's more of a question really, like how do you feel, you know? Just like having checkpoints every day throughout your workout, even while running, like how do I really feel doing this, you know? Like if it's not in line, like check what's going on, like why is it not in line? Why am I not feeling right today? Did I get enough of rest? You know, like I think that's very important for a lot of people in this fitness, wellness space, you know, like how does it really make you feel?
And to end, Jojo.
It's really important that we focus on gratitude, because I realize that whatever you focus on, it grows. So when we are grateful, we are already in a better space. We feel more at ease. You know, there's less of a conflict and a competition and comparing and, oh, I'm not good enough. Because when you're grateful, you feel you are enough. So I think gratitude's huge. Do something that scares you. I've always said, you know, just face your fear. And if it means stepping out of your comfort zone, then do that, because it would empower you when you do something you've not done, or just face your fears. And to practice moderation, because, you know, extremes can bring us out of balance. So sometimes we go very fast. That's okay. Then learn to go slower. If you are a couch potato, then maybe you need a bit more yang energy. So get off the couch, you know, just finding that balance in your life.
I'm going to need some of that yang energy to get out of the couch. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Jojo, Kimberly, Aaron, and Marc, for coming on board and taking the time out of your schedules for this episode. It's been really such a great pleasure. Now, to our Malaysian listeners at home, please do check out Jojo's Wellness Center, Ohanajo. Fuel Athletics if you're keen on trying out CrossFit with Aaron, and likewise HIIT at the Academy 56 with Marc. I know we've just gone back into a lockdown once again, but 13 out of 10 would recommend both physically and virtually. I would know, I'm one of them. Of course, if you're looking for more tips on fitness or even how to incorporate more breathwork into your life, head on over to our panelists' Instagram. You'll be surprised by how motivated you can get just by scrolling through either Kimberly, Aaron, Marc, or Jojo's feeds. Until then, this is Amy Yasmine signing out, and chat soon in our next episode, same time, same place, here at Zalora Talks. Bye!